Good evening, boxing fans, and welcome back to Enter the Ring Live for Sunday, December the 11th, 2022. It has been a minute.
And I gotta say one thing, bro. That was one of our best. No glitches.
No glitches on the intro.
Man, that must be a sign. Mike, why don't you go ahead and do the roll call?
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing out there? It's been a while. We've actually been on a bit of a hiatus for no other reasons other than we've just been very, very busy. But it looks like now's a good time to kind of pick it back up. We're heading into the end of this year, going into 2023. We're hoping to be regular once again, continue to build the fan base, build our following, and talk boxing, because we all love boxing. And if you're tuning in, you love boxing too, or you just like us.
Hey, and I'll say one thing. I mean,
Eric, I think you're on mute, bro. Eric, if you can see me, you're on mute.
You're on mute, Eric.
Your vocals. Your vocals. Look at the bottom of your screen. Should be the icon at the bottom of your screen. Anyways, there he goes. There you go. All right.
Say hello to everybody. So, like we said, we got Mighty Mike here from
San Diego, California.
AJ Rage from El Paso, Texas.
And Eric the Red from Gresham, Oregon.
From cold and rainy Gresham.
Cold, rainy, nasty.
Is it snowing?
Horrible. It did last week.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Well, we got some rain here in California. Started last night, and it rained pretty heavily all night. And it led up this afternoon at about 2:00. And but we need it though. I mean, but when we get it, we get to, you guys know, when we get it, we get just in abundance.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
it runs down.
Right now. Yeah.
Gone, yeah.
We never know when it's raining. It's like Hawaii here, dude.
So so once again, it's been a minute. Let's just take a couple of quick minutes and let everybody know what's been going on. AJ, go ahead and how's things in El Paso?
Everything's going good in El Paso. Just getting my footprint out here, getting the lay of the land. You know, not much has changed with me still. Love my music, love my boxing. That's why I'm here. Love my brothers. Love my, just putting together my homestead. Doing good. Just doing my thing. How about you guys?
Eric,
just working.
You were sick, right, for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I was sick there for a while, and come to find out, I guess it's like that bird flu or whatever. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway,
well, we do call you bird balls.
The bird.
It's all right, Artie.
But you're feeling better now, though, right?
Yeah. I'm a lot better now. It's been tough between working up the day job and the business. It's been I think that's probably why I got sick. Your body gets wore down after working. When you're working 80 hours a week, and ever since July, you get tired. You get tired.
When your body's not rested, your immune system breaks down. That's the first thing to go.
Yeah. So
I'm being back in the workplace and sitting next to Pig Stew Patty, sneezing, and not washing her hands, and
some of the people that I because it's this new job is kind of like a sales job, it's, call center type, and some of these people, man, it's like, where did you get these people?
Makes you scratch your head and wonder, huh?
Yeah, it's just like, just leave me alone. I'm gonna do what I do.
Don't
talk to me. Just get away from me.
What about you, little brother?
Well, you guys know I was in Italy for 2 weeks. Spent 2 weeks. I went to quite a few different cities, or what are they? I don't know if they call them just cities or whatever, or little provinces or whatever. Spent a couple of days in Sicily. So I did from Rome to Sicily, from Sicily to Naples, Italy, from Naples to Sorrento to Capri, back to Rome. No, I'm sorry, back to Naples, then to Florence, back to Rome, and then home.
That must have been awesome.
A long trip.
Yeah, it was a long trip. It was great. The food is fantastic. You cannot get a bad meal in Italy.
Yeah,
it's impossible. I don't give a shit what you eat. You cannot get a bad meal in Italy.
Mom showed me the picture of one of your pizzas, man. It was like huge.
It's not just that it's huge, bro. I don't know how to say this without being like graphic on this show, because that's what we're here to talk about. But when you eat that food, clean food, your digestive system is unreal. It's how your digestive system was supposed to operate.
Yeah.
For the amount of pasta you eat, alcohol you drink, there's certain things they don't put in their alcohol. Even what are they called? Sulfates.
Sulfates. Yeah.
Sulfates. You could, there was one day I drank, we went to a little, not many pubs in Italy. I will say that it's not like the UK. There's not many pubs. There's cafes where you can get a beer and stuff, but there's not like just drinking establishments. They're not about that. They're about the food and drink. Yeah. Anyways, there was one night where I threw back quite a few beers, and I drank 3 big beers all within, I don't know, like 10 minutes, because we were trying to leave, and my daughter had got a pint of Guinness, and then she didn't want it. And then I think mom got something. Anyways, so I'm like, I'm not going to waste them. So I drank all 3, and that was a consistent day of drinking, and you wake up and you feel fine.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's like,
yeah,
it's so regulated that they don't put any of that crap in it, so you end up
no preservatives in the baked goods. And it's just, if anybody's ever spent it, if anybody's ever spent a considerable amount of time in Italy and eaten, I'm not talking like a few days, I'm talking like a consistent, like a 7 days or longer, you'll know what I'm talking about. You do not feel sluggish, you do not feel weighed down, and you're eating up with cheeses and pastas and breads, and you feel fantastic.
You know what it is, though, bro? Honestly, it's a consensus. So I think that's the big misconception here in America, especially, is the fact that, and it usually comes from people who haven't done any type of traveling. Like, we've all done a lot of traveling around the world.
Yeah.
We've all spent considerable amount of times in other countries.
Mm-hmm.
And so we understand the difference in quality and quantity within other countries. Here, we've just kind of become accustomed to, I hate to say it, to shit, dude, man. That's
I hated it, man. When I came back, I was afraid to eat.
Like here in El Paso, okay? One of my biggest gripes would be, we need more variety. Don't get me wrong. I can do with every type of barbecue in the world. I love barbecue. But if I see one more fucking Whataburger or Dunkin' Donuts, I'm gonna go fucking crazy. Now I got a fucking Whataburger, a Dunkin' Donuts, and a Peter Piper's Pizza, which are kind of like the Starbucks and McDonald's of California.
Yeah.
Literally like right down the street from me. I'm like, I have one less than a half mile from
I
my
would,
house.
I would chop your right now.
Whataburger.
Oh, dude, they're my favorite.
You like Whataburger?
They're
Whataburger. Oh my god.
No, maybe your Whataburger's good, dude. Out here, I don't know what they're making out of, but it's not.
No, we don't have any out here. Otherwise, I'd be there right now.
Okay, so let's talk some boxing, man.
Let's go ahead and talk some boxing. We're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna do a quick recap of what happened this past weekend. We had fights from Leeds, England, all the way to to Madison Square Garden, to wherever the fights were from.
Guys, I'm probably gonna have to dip out here in just a minute. The room is almost over, but then what I'll do is I'll just mute it, and then
no problem.
I gotta do, and then I'll be back.
No problem. Bro. So anyways, let's go ahead and start with the card that took place from Leeds, England yesterday on DAZN. I think it was afternoon our time. I think the main event was going off between 2:30 Pacific time, which is great. I love when they have those cards, because then you can watch that, and then that just going to segues into the prelims on ESPN or whatever. But Luis Alberto Lopez wins a majority decision over Josh Warrington and claims the 126-pound IBF world title belt. And a fight, honestly, that after about the first 2-3 rounds, I really thought Lopez was gonna win by knockout. I thought he was gonna break him down, but to Warrington's credit, yes, we all know he fights dirty. He's like the Leeds version of Timothy Bradley. His head is just consistently involved in a fight.
Yeah.
And
it's happened in his last 3 fights.
Multiple fights.
It happened in the rematch. Against
was it Kiko Martinez or no?
No, the guy knocked him out, Mauricio Lara. It happened in the rematch against Mauricio Lara. He was on his way to a knockout, and he smashes Lara in the face with his head. He did the same thing. That was one of the things me and you talked about right at the beginning of the fight, when the fight started, was the fact that you have to watch Josh Warrington. He's notorious for a headbutt. He's notorious for rabbit punching. You saw it all the way back in his victory over Carl Frampton. He's a dirty fighter. He's one of those guys that I've just never wanted to see really successful in the ring. Myself personally, that's just myself.
Yeah.
I was happy for Lopez. Well, Mike, why don't you give us a little bit of backstory about Lopez? You've seen him firsthand in the.
Yeah, well, we know that he kind of burst onto the scene about a year or two ago. He was brought in as the B-side opponent, and his first big win, I think, was against Gabriel Flores, and he made easy work, knocked him out, right? Stopped Gabriel Flores.
No, he won a decision.
He won a decision, but he dropped him multiple times and hurt him.
Yeah,
busted him up. Anyways, and then I don't remember his next fight, but he had a little string of fights with Top Rank where he was getting showcased, and then they finally realized, hey, this guy is not the B-side. This guy's actually got something. And Rene Moreno spent some time sparring with him in preparation for this fight. Actually, no, let me take that back. He was supposed to fight a few months ago or a month or so ago, and then maybe that got postponed or canceled, and then this fight came along. Or anyways, but very, very, very tough kid, awkward, like by watching him, you could see he's very awkward, but he's athletic. I mean, he can get in and out of range quick, and he throws those wild, like almost like Emmanuel Navarrete type punches where these uppercuts and half hooks are coming from weird angles. And I mean, I was happy to see him win the decision. I thought he won most of the first half of the fight. He gave away a couple of rounds towards the end because he was spending way too much time complaining to the referee about the headbutts and rabbit punches. And we talked about that during the fight, AJ, where it's like he has to know this. These UK referees continue to show that they're just incompetent, and just the moment is too big for most of the UK refs. They do not know how to control the fight.
Well, one of the things that I noticed right away. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if I was ever to be a fighter and have to fight over there, I would refuse. I wouldn't fight over there because of the refs, unless I brought my own ref out there. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing about it is he was given the title shot, and he couldn't say no. You know what I mean?
Well, a big reason why he got the title shot too was the fact that he beat a friend of Josh Warrington and Isaac Lowe about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
A fight that he wasn't supposed to win. A guy who came in 21-0. He ends up beating Lowe. They figure they're going to bring him back. Get a little bit of payback against a guy like Josh Warrington. The thing is, you saw it against Gabe Flores. I mean, a lot of people did put a lot of credibility in the victory over Gabe Flores for Lopez based on the fact that Flores went out and lost another fight after that and looked really, really shitty doing it.
Yeah.
The thing about Lopez is he's a herky-jerky fighter. He's a guy that throws these really weird punches. I told my brother Mike at moments he kind of remind me of almost like a combination between Hasim Hamed and Jorge Paez. Very unorthodox, but has power at the end of those punches. And you could see Josh Warrington was starting to feel it,
especially those body shots.
And it's the common denominator with Josh Warrington. As soon as he starts to feel the pressure, he resorts back to his lower Essex way of doing things, with his dirty tactics that he's done time and time again. And I honestly felt later on in the fight that Lopez, when he started landing some of those big punches, and then he was gassing out. He was a guy that's never gone past 10 rounds.
Yeah.
He was on the verge of getting a point taken away from him from the referee. The referee was getting ready to do it. I mean, and all the flagrant fouls that were done by Warrington
with Harley half-hearted warnings. Yeah.
Weren't even warnings, Harley.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very I was disgusted, and I was fearing for him when the referee stopped action to give him that stern warning, because it looked like he was about to take a point.
Yeah, and I was very surprised at the scores. Like I said, I mean, I really felt because the fight, I actually had Lopez up a few points, so I felt he wasn't in danger. But once again, I'm going to say it. Like I made a comment to you, Blake. If you're a young fighter, you're going out to the UK, you better put that 5 rounds is the max rule in your head, because anything after that, you're at the mercy of the judges. You're at the mercy of the hometown. You're in another country. You're going to win that battle.
And your arguments or your complaints will fall on deaf ears. Like it. After about the 10th time he was complaining to the referee, if I was his trainer, I would have said, stop engaging the referee. You're only going to piss him off. He's not going to do anything to help you in this fight. He's not going to keep the fight fair. You just have to know that when you're fighting in the UK. Well, they have been notorious for that.
Out of all the fights there, the UK got one right. I got to admit, even when they announced the decision, I think the most surprised person was actually Luis Alberto Lopez. The look on his face was, holy shit, I just got this fight. I think he was pretty much set in his head that he knew he won the fight, but he knew he wasn't at the decision. At best yet, maybe a draw. But congratulations, man.
Yeah, congratulations to the new world champion.
So where does Josh Warrington go from here?
Also, I don't know. Like I told you right after the fight, I will give him credit because he did hang tough. A lot of lesser guys would have probably packed it in because he was getting hit with some clean, hard punches. But he did, he did.
Right.
How do I say? He's resilient. I mean, he stayed there and actually won a couple of those late rounds, and he dug deep and threw some flurries. I don't know where he goes from here. I mean, maybe a rematch. I don't see Lopez turning down a rematch because the money will be right. Especially with the backing of the zone. But yeah, that's the States or in Mexico because Alberto Lopez, I mean, he does fight locally, but he is from I think from Baja California. So I don't know, maybe on the undercard of another I don't know, another DAZN card that might happen here stateside. I don't know. But or maybe Warrington comes over and they do it on Top Rank now. They
get him on the other card of the Felix Cash versus Ammo Williams fight or something, that they're trying to make right now and stuff. I look at Josh Warrington like this, he's a retread. He's not a highly skilled guy. Like you said, he doesn't have a big punch. He's a durable guy. He works on his best offense is his pressure. And I hate to say it, his dirty tactics that he's gotten away with so many times.
Yeah.
Mauricio Lara was the first one to truly expose it, when he pretty much obliterated Warrington. And then in the rematch, Warrington took the easy way out and with a headbutt because he was on his way to another devastating knockout. So, I mean, I just don't think there's going to be a lot. I don't think Warrington is one of those guys, even though he's got the name, he's got still pretty decent record. He's got a decent following. Unless you go to the UK, you're not going to sell that fight against anybody out here in the United States. It's just not something I don't think people want. So
it will never here stateside. It will never be a main event fight. It will be a co-main, lead up to a bigger fight. That's what I'm saying. Maybe the next big Top Rank card. I don't know who that's going to be. I don't know if Shakur Stevenson has a fight come, but I could see them maybe trying to make that rematch and putting it on, on the card of the Top Rank card.
But other than that, it was a pretty forgettable card, to be honest with you. Felix Cash, we'll just touch on that real quick. He had a victory against a guy. I can't remember the guy's name. Who really cares? Felix Cash.
Hey guys, I gotta go, guys.
Okay, don't forget to mute your thing, bro.
Yeah.
A guy that they're trying to set up is to be the next big middleweight thing. Very, very, very mediocre as far as I'm concerned. Is it an interesting bout against Ammo Williams? Yeah, because you got another guy who's got questionable skills. So it's going to be a sloppy slugfest. They've already kind of started setting it up. Felix Cash pushed Ammo Williams at the end of during the post-fight discussion with the commentator. It's not a main event thing. Like you said, bro, it's one of those things that's going to get tossed in the middle somewhere, and it's going to be forgettable because really at this point in both of their careers, even though they're both kind of young on the way up and coming and stuff, I don't see either one of them really making a dent within the division.
Yeah.
So
let's go ahead and jump over we'll go ahead and cross the pond over and let's talk about the fight that took place at Madison Square Garden last night. Teofimo Lopez wins a very, very controversial split decision over Sandor Martin, late replacement Sandor Martin. 3 weeks notice, he came in, filled in for Pedraza. And I don't know what else can really be said about the fight, but other than, in my opinion, Teofimo Lopez, you're seeing exactly what the kid is made of. He had a easy road to undisputed. Vasyl Lomachenko did all the heavy lifting to obtain 3 of the belts. He catches Lomachenko on an off night, whatever you want to call it. Maybe he did have a shoulder injury. I don't know, but everything leading up to this fight, all the hype around Teofimo Lopez was unwarranted. It's another typical, and we're going to talk about this at the end of this breakdown, but it's another typical Top Rank. Let me build up these guys to be world beaters. And the minute they get in there with some decent competition, they show that they're not what they're all cracked up to be.
No, you're absolutely right.
It's a facade. And Martin, as we know, his biggest win was against Mikey Garcia several months back. He was brought in and he won the decision over Mikey Garcia. He said all along, this fight to me is easier because Teofimo Lopez is not as good as Mikey Garcia. And I would agree. Now Mikey's obviously retired now, is at the end of his career, but even a half-hearted old Mikey Garcia still beats a Teofimo Lopez. Yeah. Teofimo, the blame game, the excuses, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of hearing about him. Turn the page. The kid is going to, like Timothy Bradley said at the end of the broadcast, he's dog food for the top guys at 140. And the saddest thing about the whole thing, bro, is Bob Arum has already put his calls in and already has this kid ranked #1 in the WBO, which means he will get the shot at either Catterall or Josh Taylor.
And that's pretty disgusting. The thing
undeserving.
Is, like, when you have a guy like Timothy Bradley, who to me, and we'll talk about that on too, is calling you out to be mediocre, coming from a mediocre fighter on his stance is pretty bad. The bottom line is Top Rank's been trying to feed us that Teofimo Lopez is Cristal. We all know he's cold duck. End of story. He can go out there and he could all this flash. They were hoping that maybe the Heisman Trophy hype kind of inject some of that past enthusiasm that Teofimo had showed against mediocre fighters like,
Mason Menard,
and even, some of these other guys. But let's be honest.
Richard Comey.
If Sandor Martin had any kind of a punch, we're talking about a guy that's got 9 knockouts on his 40 plus, almost 40 freaking fights in his career. He drops Teofimo Lopez twice in the fight. He drops him with the check hook early in round number 2, and then drops him again. And I believe it was round number 6 or 7.
Seventh round.
Didn't get credit for it. So Teofimo, has got another check mark against him in the fact that he's shown to be a bit chinny. Kambosos had him on the ground, and Kambosos is not a big puncher either. I'm going to be honest with you.
No.
So the thing is that they're going to keep talking about, this and this, and the Teofimo was trying to make comments. Well, the guy was running. Well, I'm sorry. It's not running Teofimo. It's called boxing. And when your base was the mitt, he was pitching the balls and your base was the mitt. It was a terrible, terrible decision. Not one of the worst ones I've seen.
And what the kid what Martin had to fight through it was the first round. First round headbutt broke his nose. His nose bled throughout the entire fight. They said it was affecting his vision because the nasal cavity started to swell up into his eyes. The fact that he had to deal with that, plus coming in on 3 weeks' notice, man,
it just shows you but people are, right after the fight, you looked at the postings, whether it be on Twitter or be on Facebook or whatnot. The bottom line is, even some of these smaller syndicated boxing news channels, the consensus was there. Teofimo was garbage. Teofimo is a hype job. We know he's a hype job. I think that's the easy route, is getting the winner of Josh Taylor and Catterall. I think the lesser of two evils in the sense. Let's be honest. You put Teofimo Lopez in there against a guy like Regis Prograis, and he'll make his fight look like how it did recently against Jones Zepeda look a lot easier.
Yeah.
So Teofimo, he really showed just how limited he is in his skills. Anybody can look good, and we're going to talk about this smoke and mirror shit that
Top Rank
continues to do. With a lot of these guys coming up. The bottom line is Top Rank's trying to get their bang for their buck with Teofimo, hoping they can get him into one more big bout, and they might get him into a big bout. They might lure, if it's not Catterall and Taylor, it might be a rematch against Kambosos. I don't see them going after Lomachenko based on his last few performances, only because I'm not saying Lomachenko's all that skilled anymore, but he's still skilled enough, to a declining Teofimo Lopez.
And Loma doesn't have to go to 140. He's got business at 135. So
he's got plenty of work to do at 135. And the thing is that with Teofimo Lopez right now is that you're seeing not just a decline and a diminishing of his skills. You're seeing that he's been exposed, but it's the mental state. He still believes that he's the takeover of 2020. Those days are gone. He has to reinvent himself, So at this point right now, I don't know where it goes. Too bad for Sandor Martin. Do I think it really hurts him in the long run? I don't think it hurts him too much. I think most of the boxing experts know Sandor Martin won this fight. I think we see him in another big fight here. I don't know against who. We'll see.
He deserves another big fight. I'll tell you that. But you said it best, bro. They're gonna find a way to cash out on Teofimo and one more big fight. They have to, because the next guy he fights, like you said, is somebody that's not coming in on 3 weeks' notice, somebody that doesn't get a broken nose in the first 2 minutes of the first round, might knock this kid cold.
Well, you can't tell me that Bob Arum at 150 years old isn't sick and tired of the Lopez family. Bob Arum wants to freaking basically put him in about, I think he was hoping that this might have happened. I think Bob Arum was happy when Pedraza fell out and Sandor Martin stepped in, because he thought that even in a late replacement, Teofimo loses, there's his excuse. He could throw this kid to the West Wind and say he can go end up on Black Prime, wherever else he's going to end up, Triller or whatever. The bottom line is Bob Arum, I think, wants that separation with Teofimo Lopez himself, but he has to have the right argument or it's going to end up in court. The right argument is you're not the product that I paid for, and this is a damaged piece of product. So,
yeah, you're right. You're right. And then apparently the crowd reaction yesterday was silent, smattering of boos at the decision, and a lot of people left early. And it's funny when you watch the ring exits, nobody was left in the arena. There was nobody clamoring to shake Teofimo's hand or give him 5 or nothing. I tell you, the kid, and that right there will destroy him more than anything mentally, anything else that could possibly happen in the ring. Because the kid and his dad, they're egomaniacs and they're a bit narcissistic, and the shine is off, man. The shine is off. They're tarnished. Devin Haney tweeted during the fight saying Kambosos ruined him, and he might be right. And I'm no fan of Devin Haney's antics, but I think if those two guys fight, oh my God, I think that would be a bloodbath. That would be an absolute bloodbath.
You're talking about
Haney and
what you're talking about,
Haney and Lopez.
I think Haney completely outboxes Teofimo, because Haney to me is a much better boxer. The only problem with Haney is as chinny as Teofimo is, Haney's even a little bit more chinny, even though he hasn't been dropped. I mean, this is a guy he's been rocked in almost every bout. I can't remember the last time the guy wasn't rocked in a bout.
Yeah, true.
Teofimo gets dropped, but I've never seen him severely hurt where he's completely out of it and stuff. I saw, if you go back to the fight when Devin Haney fought against Linares, that 10th round, another 5 seconds on the clock, man, and that fight's over.
Very well. Yeah, the bell, that was not to sound cliche, but the bell did save him in that fight.
Yeah, absolutely right, bro.
So why don't we go ahead and talk a little bit about, because the only other fights that took place this weekend were the Crawford Evanescence fight. I didn't watch 1 second of the fight. I had no interest in watching that fight at all. So I know it ended in a 6-round knockout. Everybody, I don't know if you want to talk about that, then jump back to the Top Rank thing, or should we just talk about Top Rank and what we feel about?
Yeah, we can talk about Top Rank. I mean, we can go back. I mean, there's not really much to say about the Crawford fight. Let's be honest. We could touch on it real quick. And
the result was the result was expected. It was a guy that was outside of boxing purists. Nobody really knew who Evanescence was. I knew the name. I don't remember.
Actually came in with 3 weeks notice.
Yeah, because that fight was just signed, right? Just a few weeks ago, right? Came out of nowhere.
Guy was in the gym for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of preparation for this fight, to fight for a world title. He's not going to turn it down. Evanescence is a good fighter, but he's a guy that was stopped by
the Mean
Machine, a guy who Crawford beat before. But there was something during that fight that, even though Crawford ended up winning devastatingly, in the 6th round with that shot that he caught him with, was the fact that Crawford getting hit clean by a guy who didn't have a lot of speed, had a bit of pop, but not welterweight pop. Just for welterweight pop, not welterweight pop. You know what I'm saying? Against those fragile chin UK fighters, he looks devastating, but it's a different when you're fighting a slick fighter from Omaha. You're not going to have that same result on the punches. And that just sets it up again that, once again, right after the victory, Crawford's, patting himself on the back. I'm the best. He's still yet to get in there with a young line. I'm going to say it again. He's not going to get in there with Spence. He'll only get in there with Spence after Boots Ennis destroys Spence, if that ever happens. He always wants damaged goods or old goods. He's talking about Manny Pacquiao just beat a kickboxer. We know where Crawfish wants and where he's going at this point in his career,
Yeah. And I did see that. I did catch a video today, a little quick 2-minute video about post-fight press conference where Terrence Crawford says something. He said something to the effect that, what I've been doing here in the welterweight division. And it's like, yeah, sadly, we do know what you've been doing, and you haven't done anything in this division.
Nothing.
Beating this guy last night means nothing. And everybody said it when that fight was announced. Everybody, 99% of boxing fans that are not Crawfish fans were like, David Ava, who? You're fighting? You could be fighting Errol Spence, and you're fighting who?
Well,
what Mickey Mouse Network with some bogus production? I heard the production
at home, bro. At home. At home. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
let's be on. Yeah, it's kind of, let's be honest. They were selling the tickets over at Winco, dude. I mean, it's ridiculous, bro.
Yeah, the guy, he should change his name to Soft Touch Crawford is what they said. Because that's all he wants is a soft touch.
Well, when he talks about what he's done in the welterweight division, let me just put it this way, real simple. I'll keep it real quick and brief. He hasn't beaten a legit, in his right frame of mind and in the prime of his career, welterweight. When he criticizes a guy like Errol Spence for his choices in taking on Keith one-time Thurman, a former undisputed champion himself, who has one loss on his record and has come back and looked, decent in his comeback. When really the biggest victory on Terrence Crawford was an over-the-heel damage and a little bit suspect stoppage against Sean Porter.
Did you guys see the video I sent you yesterday?
Yeah, I've said it, Mike. We said it the day before. When we had a guy on the street in Vegas, we knew that the fix was in. That's why I said, I mean, I've totally lost all respect for Sean Porter. I do believe the fix was in. They cashed out.
He cashed out to make Crawford look good. How
much money Top Rank gave him on top of what he made in Vegas?
Oh yeah. Are you talking Crawford, right? So you guys talking about Porter? Sean Porter?
We're talking about Sean Porter, yeah.
Yeah, with that video, that was time.
So when you see guys like Sean Porter going on there and he's talking shit about David Avanesian. Avanesian caught Crawford early in the fight, shook him up a little bit and stuff, and then Crawford did what he had to do. Avanesian he's not even a natural welterweight, let's be honest. The guy's really a 140 pounder. You know what I'm saying? You can see by his stature, he's not a real big guy. But see, the problem is Crawford's got a bigger issue right now. So where does he go? At 35 years old, where does Crawford go at this point? The fight with him and Spence looks like it's never going to happen. It looks like it's going to fall in that realm of Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
Is it going to be at the point when it's a desperation act, when you got guys, when they both got losses on their records, which they both do now? So it's kind of like cash out kind of policy now. But now the problem is that people don't really want it all that much. They're kind of like, well, Anthony Joshua's lost 3 fights. Deontay's lost 2 fights. What do we care anymore? That's what's going to happen with Crawford. The one good appeal that Crawford and Spence still have at this point is they're both undefeated. So somebody's O's got to go. But the problem is there's another guy. Fuck Keith one-time Thurman, Virgil Ortiz, all these other guys. There's a monster that's sitting at 147 pounds, and his name is Jerome Boots Ennis. He's the most talented welterweight out there. He's a guy that's absolutely devastating fighters on the way up and making it look easy. He's a guy that has this foresight and this focus in boxing that once he sets and measures that distance, it's good night, Irene. And I'll tell you right now, where do you go?
And he's been actively calling for Terrence Bud Crawford for the better part of the last 2 years. And it's falling on deaf ears.
Yeah.
For everybody saying that Crawford's been calling out Spence, blah, blah, blah. Well, he has somebody ready, willing, and able to fight him. And I have no doubt in my mind, he'll allow Bud to dictate the terms. But Bud is doing this. I don't see you. I don't see you. I don't see you. I don't hear you. La, la, la. Because he won't even mention the kid's name.
No, he won't.
He's scared to death of that kid.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you saw the post-fight interview when they were talking to Terrence Bud Crawford. There was only one name that came out of his mouth. He didn't even talk about Errol Spence. The only person that he mentioned was Manny Pacquiao. So what does that tell you?
Once again, this guy's in it for the money. He just wants the soft touches. He wants a 41 or 42-year-old Manny Pacquiao because he knows there'll be a good payday attached to it. Yeah. That's a shame.
Yeah, it is. You know what I'm saying? But there was another fighter who didn't have that same mentality that Terrence Bud Crawford is, but made that mistake with Manny Pacquiao. And that was Keith one-time Thurman. Keith one-time Thurman thought that Manny was going to be a soft touch. He's getting up there in age. He hadn't been in the ring for a couple of years. And what happened? You know what I'm saying? Manny's pulled rabbits out of a hat a couple times.
Yeah.
If that fight does happen, I don't look at it as a given for me for Terrence Crawford, because I just think Manny's that type of fighter that's been in real wars, has been tested on several occasions. He's fought the best of the best. Yeah. Terrence Crawford hasn't. Once again, he showed it again. Yeah, he beat a tough guy from the UK. You know what I'm saying? That's not saying a whole fucking hell of a lot at this point in your career. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny. The same people. It's funny because usually Terrence Crawford fans go hand in hand with Canelo haters. The same guys that love Bud Crawford are quick to discredit Canelo's resume because he fought those guys. He fought from the UK. Who did he fight? Callum Smith, and then he fought. Remember the tall guy, Rocky Fielding, and all that stuff. He's fighting these guys that were undefeated UK fighters. But Bud's doing the exact same thing.
Well, the
The
difference is between
exact same
Bud-
thing.
Well, the difference is between Bud and what Canelo did is Canelo was actually fighting champions for the world title to unified title. Terrence Bud Crawford's not doing that.
He's
He is
fighting
still-
undefeated world champions.
He is still yet to
Billy
a
Joe
legitimate
Saunders, Callum
welterweight.
Smith, Rocky Fielding. I mean, he's winning titles from undefeated world champions.
Yeah.
Bud Crawford, when was the last time he fought a world champion? They said it's been 5 years since he's fought an actual active world champion. Sean Porter was not a champion.
No,
The last time he beat a world champion might have been Victor Postal or something like that.
I think
Or, no,
Victor
it was
Postol.
Jeff Horn. It was Jeff Horn.
Jeff Horn. Yeah.
Jeff Horn, and Jeff Horn was beaten easier by Tim Tszyu than he was by Bud Crawford. Jeff Horn said it in an interview. You can look it up on YouTube. Tim Tszyu hits harder than Terrence Bud Crawford. He's a much stronger, physically stronger fighter and puncher. Physically strong. I don't know.
That's a problem. Is like I said, like when I was talking to you earlier about Charlo, Jamel Charlo. Jamel Charlo said, I hear Bud, and there's no love lost there. He's friends with Errol Spence. He's a Texas native like myself and Errol Spence. He made it perfectly clear that, Bud just, he likes to blow smoke. You know what I'm saying? He's like, he's going to say this, he's going to say that, but Bud's got unless Bud's fighting Manny Pacquiao at 154 pounds and having him step outside of his weight zone, because he won't allow Manny that 147 pound catch weight. He's going to put Manny where Manny's a fat Manny. He's got to have to stock up on Lupias in order to get to that weight. That's the only way that he's going to fight at 154 pounds. He ain't going to step in there with the Tim Tszyu. He's not going to step in there against a Brian Castano. He's not going to step in there against a Jamel Charlo. And he's definitely not going to step in there against the freak of nature and Pandora, Sebastian Pandora. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
These are elements of boxing that if Bud thinks are obtainable, they're within your reach, Bud. You're a world champion. Go do it. Stop talking shit, man.
You're going to blink and be 36, and then you're going to be 37,
over,
and
man.
then it's over for this guy.
What do you think, Eric? You got to take on that?
I just think it's amazing that both of you guys are like encyclopedias when it comes to names of fighters. I'm absolutely the worst person on the planet when it comes to names. Now you show me a picture of a fighter, I know exactly who he is and what he's fought and where he is, and I'm so horrible with names. I'm sorry.
No, but you score fights good.
You score fights probably better
than
than
the best scorer I've seen out there, man. You score them good, man.
Yeah, no, I
need more of that in boxing.
Well, I can watch a fight and take my emotions and everything completely and totally out of it, and actually just watch the fight for the fight, and that's what I enjoy.
And you make it like a habit of turning the sound off.
Yeah, completely. Because
I don't want to hear these guys
swayed or anything. I want to watch the fight for the fight. I can't stand these announcers. They're just so biased and so wrong half the time. You get a guy, you get your B-side guy whooping the living hell out of the A-side guy with 15 shots. The A-side guy hit him with one, and they're like, "Oh,
yeah,
you did." It's like, have you not been watching the damn fight?
No.
So a lot of times I just mute it and I just watch the fight for the fight. Because you
guys remember a show a few years back, some years back, called the Contender? You guys remember that show, the one that Sergio the Worm Mora won years ago against a hand-picked limited amount of fighters. As a matter of fact, the most talented fighter on that entire crop ended up committing suicide. So when you look at the state of Top Rank today, they are the modernized version of the Contender in a sense. You got guys like, Davis, Tiger Johnson, all these other players, Xander Zayas, all these fighters, and they're feeding these guys 3-day-old meat. Basically, when you got guys, Berlanga's already been pretty much exposed, and you can see kind of forgotten because he's not considered invincible like these other guys. Their big dogs right now are Davis, Keyshawn Davis, Xander Zayas, who actually looked a bit suspect against a tougher challenger, but you got to remember a guy that was starched in 3 rounds by Carlos Adames just a couple of fights ago. So that says a lot. So when you hear guys like Andre Ward talking that Xander Zayas could basically beat any of the champions or any of the top guys right now in the division, you kind of got your taste last night, when you can't put away a guy like Salazar,
And then Timothy Bradley said there's something comparable about Keyshawn Davis. He's ready right now. And even I think even what's his name? Joe Testor had to kind of give him like a whoa, let's pump the brakes a little bit. He just beat a 35-year-old Burgos who was there for a paycheck in an 8-round fight. I mean,
yeah. who was 1-5 in his last 6 fights. And let's be honest, a guy who had no intention of winning at all. The guy stepped into the ring and you could see it in his face. He was there for a payday. I've seen Burgos fight on several occasions, and I remember the old Burgos and what he was able to do and stuff. And that was just a shell of what he used to be.
Yeah.
The guy should never be allowed to step in the ring again, unless it's in Tijuana fighting on the undercard of, some whatever's going on in Tijuana at that time. But let's be honest. When you see a guy, it reminds me, it's a funny situation, because back in the days in ESPN, which Al Bernstein will never remember because he's got short-term memory. He's so far up the ass of the executives now over at Showtime. He forgot where his roots came from. And the roots were, Friday night fights on ESPN. I remember years and years ago, there was a guy named Sammy Cooper and stuff who fought. And this guy ended up fighting a guy out of San Diego named Levi Billups. Billups came into the fight at the time. This is before he got the second run of his career. He came in with, I believe, a 5-8 record. This guy comes into the fight and he's got a 3-2 record. He ends up winning this sloppy 4-round decision and starts calling out Larry Holmes and everybody else on the top. That's how it felt for me last night when Keyshawn Davis started calling out everybody on top of the division right now, like ready based off of this performance.
But he said nobody by name, though. He just said, I want everybody. Yeah.
But it's real simple, bro. How many times are we going to allow Top Rank to try to mislead us, to try to sucker us? You see, Top Rank is kind of like how Mickey guided Rocky's career pre, Clubber Lane situation and stuff,
Yeah.
Those highlight knockouts, got all the people behind him, had the media, the hoop raj like this. But as soon as he got in there with a tough motherfucker out of Chicago, got his ass kicked. He had to come back and do it the hard way. Had to get back there and go back to LA and go back to basics. But that's the common denominator of Top Rank. Top Rank builds these guys up to fall and then discards them. How many fighters have they done? Yeah, we heard from Hector Tanahara. Where's he at? I can go down the list. Gabe Flores, he's gone. I can go down the list of how many fighters. Faster than Kronk, Jim got rid of guys. And Manuel Stewart, this guy kicks these guys to the win. And that's just what happens. You know what I'm saying?
They're ruthless. They're
absolutely ruthless.
Brad Goodman and all those guys involved over there. The
only reason I think Teofimo's still, because they have such an investment in him right now. It's kind of like being in a record contract. Until the record company can get back a little bit of that money and call it even, they're not going to let him off that contract.
You guys talk about that fight yet?
Yeah. There's not a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Not a lot to talk about, but
no.
Other than it, we said
he didn't win that fight.
Yeah, and it's a sad day when the UK gets the decision right. You know what I mean? They got it right with Warrington over the guy that was coming into their country. They were fair in that decision.
Yeah.
But the New York judges completely screwed that Spaniard. They completely screwed that kid.
Hey, why don't we, since there's really not much to talk about that, why don't we talk about some upcoming fights coming up, bro?
Well, yeah, I wanted to talk about the fight that's going to take place, Tuesday, very, very early, 5:00 Eastern. So I think that'll be about 3:00 your time, AJ?
Yeah, it was like 3:00 in the morning last time, man. It was a struggle to get that fight. Yeah.
2:00 my time, 2 a.m. I'm gonna guess the main event might go off around like 3 though. But the monster Naoya Inoue is unifying for all 4 belts with Paul Butler out of the UK. Paul Butler owns the WBO belt. Inoue owns the other 3. I went back and looked a little bit on Paul Butler because I didn't, other than his name, I didn't know much about him. I went and looked at his box rec. I looked at some highlights from his fights. All I can say is do not blink.
Yeah, this is going to be a hard one to watch. I'm going to be honest with you, bro, for so many reasons. And in a way,
Butler looks like a likable, just young, tough Brit, but
he reminds me of a very likable guy that got in there with a gritty Mexican way back in the 80s, a guy by the name of Jimmy Owens, and we all know how that fucking turned out.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to see that side of boxing happen again because it's already happened a few times this year, you know what I'm saying, with some fighters. And, but let's be honest, Inoue's in a completely different, when people say you're in a different level, you're in a different world, he's in a different galaxy when it comes to Butler. Butler, just some years back, I believe it was 2015, he was starched by Zolani Tete. Rounds. So here's a guy that's a bit unorthodox but had pop. Inoue's he's not unorthodox. He's a precision, well-oiled machine. This is going to be a sparring session. It's going to be a brutal lesson and a long ride back to the UK.
And I tell you what, Inoue shows no mercy.
No,
he is going to come out there and from the first round on, there's no feeling out process for him. He throws his punches like he did with Donaire and every other guy he fights. I mean, he lets his hands go, and every punch has bad intentions. Well, he is my number one pound for pound fighter right now. He
absolutely.
Ever since Canelo took that loss to Bivol, and there's nobody that really can compete with Inoue.
Well, even with Canelo, I mean, I think Canelo had the pound for pound based on the fact that he had won so many titles in different divisions, just kind of gave him that thing. But let's be honest, no one's been doing it like Inoue. I mean, go to his rematch against Nonito Donaire, and what a devastating, just humiliating defeat that he handed Donaire. It was kind of like, you gave me a tough fight. You lived on these laurels that you fractured bones in my face and all this kind of stuff. In a way, you saw it in him right from the get-go. He was going to brutalize Donaire, and it was a brutal. Anybody ever got a chance to go back and watch? It was a 2-round brutal defeat. I mean, it was, and
there was no mercy shown at all.
No mercy. I mean, you looked at Donaire's face. I mean, it was so fast and so quick. I mean, everybody in the boxing world wanted that fight to be stopped after the first round, except for Donaire's wife, because she wanted to collect another check and hoping that Donaire. She was about the only unsympathetic person in the entire audience. Everybody else is like, please stop the fight. Because anyway, he's exactly, you talk about a guy whose moniker is him. He's the fucking monster, bro. He is the monster.
Yeah. And I think we're going to see it, in about 36 hours time, we're going to see a pretty devastating display from this kid, and he will be yet another undisputed champion that we'll have in the year 2022. We had it with Charlo, one undisputed. I guess you could say Devin Haney now is undisputed, even though Tank Davis still does hold a version of the 135 pound title, and in a way will add himself to that. It was weird. It was like all those years, for like 30 years, 40 years, we never had any Triple Crown winners. Then we had 2 back-to-back. For so long, we had nobody undisputed. Now all of a sudden we have these undisputed champions. You had Usyk at cruiserweight. You had, like I said, Charlo at 154.
Which is funny you say the thing about Tank Davis, because Haney makes the argument that his titles, that Tank's title shouldn't be validated or should be recognized. I remember when I remember when Lomachenko was the undisputed champion and Haney held a linear title aside, and he was fighting that argument. So, these guys got short-term memories. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I honestly feel. But
in Tank's defense, Tank did win the fight in the ring. Devin Haney never did. He was emailed to him. He won the title by email. He was elevated because of one technicality or whatever. But yeah, he never even fought for that for that trinket. He never did.
Well, I mean, it just shows you how, like I said, I mean, Haney was one of his only legitimate solid victory for me is his victory over Kambosos. But I'm gonna admit it. I'm one of those people that got sucked into Kambosos hype job. I wanted to see it. I thought it was back to the Michael Casitas days and stuff. I believe that Kambosos was this rejuvenated, this Spartan warrior. And he gets his ass handed to him, and then the rematch was even worse. You know what I'm saying?
The one thing I got to say though about Kambosos is, he could have taken an easy route and gone somewhere.
Very
smaller,
true. Very true.
Smaller, taken a couple of fights.
Yeah.
Built some stuff up and taken the bigger one. But he went for the gusto. And you know what? If you're going to take it and leave it all out there, do it. You know what?
I mean, that's the thing.
You're a truer fighter.
You're right, bro.
Fighter for doing that, I think.
He showed guts, dude. He showed guts and he showed balls. He showed the guts and the balls that a lot of fighters do not show.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, in boxing today, guts and balls don't necessarily win fights, as we just saw against Josh Warrington against Lopez. And we got a basket right now in boxing that are filled with a bunch of fighters that's debatable. Okay, what do we do with this? It's kind of like somebody go off to the kitchen and go, I got the main course and I got dessert ready, but I got this basket of fighters and I don't know what I'm going to do with them. And in that basket is George Kambosos. Okay. In that basket now is a bunch of other fighters that you guys saw. You got guys like Mario Barrios. I mean, the list goes on. How many fighters are in this basket right now? And you think to yourself, I hate to say it, even a guy that we feel like we have a friendship with this stuff, and Jose Chon Zepeda, based off his loss to Regis Prograis. So you got this basket of all these fighters. You're thinking, what am I going to do with these guys? Where do I take them? Where do they go next? You know what I'm saying? And that's where we're at, because honestly, I feel that since the decline of Lomachenko, and I'm going to say it, there's a decline there. You've seen it in his fights. He's not the same fighter he was before. Age is starting to catch up to Lomachenko. I don't think it's just so much age. It's the 400 or 500 amateur fights that he had prior to his professional career that are catching up to him. You don't have to be
so many
old.
times you can get hit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's starting to slow down. And I know there's talk about him fighting guys like Devin Haney. I don't think that's an interesting fight to me for the real reason is Lomachenko is always going to be dangerous based on the fact that he's so highly skilled and so highly motivated. But sometimes your body just doesn't react. And you're seeing that in Lomachenko. And the one thing Devin Haney has over him, he's going to have speed, he's going to have size, and he's going to be able to probably control it. And you saw, I saw something in Lomachenko's last fight. He's starting to not pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And that's a bad sign.
Yeah. His body was just not reacting.
Yeah. Now, if this was Lomachenko prior to Teofimo Lopez and Haney, I'll take Teofimo. I'll take Lomachenko every day and 3 times on Sunday. But that's not the same fighter. That's why these guys are so interested to go after him now. Everybody's always talking about all these fighters sit around and they wait and they cultivate and they get old. Well, yeah, they get old because he's young challengers. But yet we punish a guy like Boots Ennis and tell him, shame on you. You're not ready. You're not ready for Bud Crawford. He's like, man, I'm ready. So, I mean, what do? It's a double-edged sword, either way we look at it.
Yeah. And talking a little bit about the 135-pound division, I'm so sick and tired. Really, I think about this every week. I'm so sick and tired of people like Lomachenko and a few other fighters getting, I don't know, just getting flack or getting hate for maybe not making the biggest fights or whatever they want to say. Oh, he's running from this guy, running from this guy. They said he ran from Haney. They're saying he'll run from Shakur. What about Shakur and Haney? Why can't you guys fight? How come Haney? How come you can't fight Tank? Tank, how come you can't fight Shakur? I don't understand this. You got these prime guys right now. You've got Keyshawn Davis is calling out people. There's 3 guys right there. In fact, 2 of them are with, one of them is with Top Rank. If you're all that, Keyshawn Davis and these other guys at 135, fight Shakur Stevenson.
Yep.
He's right there. You guys are both signed to the same promotional company. We all know that Devin has one more fight contractually with Top Rank. He could fight Shakur. He could fight, but these guys don't want to do that. These guys don't want to sit around and to call out these other guys for not taking the fights. But you guys, if you're all so brave, because you purport to be so brave, we'll fight anybody. Fight each other. Well, you don't want to fight. They don't want to fight each other.
It's real simple, bro. When they did their job orientation,
they want the aging guys. They want the aging Lomachenko.
Well, that's part of the prerequisite in the job orientation that you get over at Top Rank when you sign a contract with them. They teach these guys, Shakur Stevens, amongst others. It's just like Bud Crawford. They teach them, we'll do the hype, be the hype job, call out the world, and we'll always deflect that and give you something subpar. The same argument that can be made about Shakur and Devin Haney not fighting each other is the same argument we're going to get is why can't we get Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence made? Why can't we get these other fights made? It's not going to happen. When you hear a guy like Bud
Crawford, they'll never fight. They'll never fight.
And I'm so tired of hearing people say it, and we've said this so many times before. Ain't nobody scared of anybody in professional boxing. I want you people to understand that. Nobody's afraid. If you lace the gloves up, you get in the ring for how many fights you do, you ain't afraid. You might be nervous. There's a little bit of a fear factor where you got to balance things out, with your energy.
Yeah, very true.
At the end of the day, you're not afraid. Okay. So if you're going to tell me a guy like Virgil Ortiz is afraid of Bud Crawford, Errol Spence, who crashed at 120 miles an hour and got thrown like a freaking Frisbee, is afraid of freaking Bud Crawford. Come on, man. You're lying to yourself, bro. You got to know that the ugly rooted aspect behind boxing, man, it's about money. And the bottom line is, there's got to be A side. There's got to be a B side. And the thing is that Terrence Crawford is a megalomaniac. The guy he's a sociopath in his own brain. Yep. He thinks he's worth more than he's actually worth. At the end of the day, he's really actually a very, very fortunate second-rate fighter that lucky he got any recognition coming out of Omaha. He forgets the opportunities that were given to him when he won his world title. And he doesn't want to give the young guns like Boots Ennis and others that same opportunity that was handed to him that launched his career. Shame on you.
Look at the guys he fought. You talk about a weak crop of 140 pounders. There was the 140-pound division 7 years later is not what it was 7 years ago. 7 years ago, your best fighter was Victor Postol. You had Victor Postol, Julius Ndongo. I don't know who he won the other belt from. I can't remember. It escapes me right now, but it was a very, very weak division. It was like the cruiserweight division at the time. There was just nobody in it. There was nobody in. Everybody was fighting at 135 or fighting at 147 with Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, Victor Ortiz. guys of that nature. Roberto
Well, it's
Guerrero,
real
Johnny
simple.
Molina. There was nobody at 140 pounds.
The writing was on the wall when he ended up fighting against Benavidez. And the thing was, he never wanted to touch Benavidez when Benavidez was a world champion, when Benavidez was undefeated and streaking through people. He only waited till after Benavidez had life-threatening surgery based off of getting shot on the streets of Arizona and came back one-legged and looked mediocre in his comeback fights that he accepted the fight. That's the common thing with him. Now he's going to go after Manny Pacquiao. What happened to Manny Pacquiao prior to Keith Thurman? He was out there still. Keith Thurman got the fight. Why couldn't you get it, Terrence Crawford? Why do you want it now? Because Manny Pacquiao's out there playing the Barnum and Bailey circus sideshow like Floyd Mayweather. So now it's appealing. You think you're good? Let me turn out, bro. There's no money there, bro. There's no money there.
Yeah, they think
You
there
can't
is, but
sell
there's
it.
not. No,
You know, they keep saying that he made $10 million for this fight. Show me
don't
the
believe-
check.
I don't
Show me
believe
the
it.
check. I don't believe it. I don't believe he made $3 million for this fight.
Yeah,
You know?
and not only that, the numbers are gonna. I don't know anybody that honestly in their right mind would pay for that fight. And they
I
even
didn't pay for it. I watched it.
no, and they had the price tag way down at like what $39 or something like that.
$39. It was $13.95 in a can of corn hash, dude. It was ridiculous, bro.
Corned beef hash.
Corned beef hash.
So anyway, so hey, predictions on. I think we jumped over it. Predictions on the Inoue Butler. I'm going to say 3 rounds max. Inoue knocks him out brutally.
Let's just say this: that fight ends faster than I drink my drink, dude.
Yeah.
Like Mike said,
I'll say 2. It's going to be like the Donaire fight.
Then their fight, yeah, quick.
it's not going to get past
Break it down so fast.
one
Break them fast.
round. I'm going to tell you why. In a way, he's going to want to go in there and say, look, I know I've been out of the ring. In a way, he's not one of these fighters that say, hey, you know, I've been out for a year, so I'm going to get a little bit of, you know, come back and box. In a way, he doesn't like to box. He likes to knock people out. Let's
Yeah.
be honest. In a way, he's not in boxing to box. He doesn't want to go in there and say, oh, I love going rounds. He's got a pretty face. He's like, dude, I want to go hang out with my pretty freaking, you know, Suki girl over here. He's going to knock this guy. He's going to hit this guy so hard. This guy's going to get conscious 5 hours into his fight back to the UK, bro. It's going to be over fast. Don't get up, get your Doritos, your bean dip, take a piss, nothing, bro. Pop your beer, sit there because it's going to be quick.
Yeah. That's right. It is. You're right.
Don't
It's gonna
blink.
be-
I'm telling you, go like this, sit like this.
Now, when is
Your
the
eyes
fight?
like this, dude.
When is
Yeah,
that
because-
one again?
It's
Tuesday.
Tuesday morning. I think it's about 2 a.m. our time, Eric.
Okay.
Tuesday. So basically Monday night, Tuesday morning. But
Yeah.
but I think that's when the broadcast starts. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing the main event will probably be like 3:00 our time, 3:30.
Okay.
What else-
I'm
who
just
else we got?
I'm just gonna
Well,
go
I
to
can
bed
skip
early on
a little
Monday
earlier.
night. I'm gonna go to bed early Monday night, 6 to 7 o'clock, and so I can at least get my 7-8 hours and wake up and watch it. Because I'm
Yeah.
not gonna be able to go to sleep after that fight.
Yeah. I was gonna say that who else we got on the board for this weekend?
Hey, when does Munguia fight again?
I don't know, but Munguia's in Spain right now. I know he's in
He just fought.
yeah,
No,
he
I
just
know.
fought. He's in Madrid, Spain right now.
I don't think
Just
I got to see that
vacationing.
fight.
Yeah,
I
he
don't
just
think
He knocked out what's his name? Coda?
yeah.
I- oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
He
I didn't,
brutalized the guy, dude.
Let's see what else we got coming up on the schedule for this weekend, bro. I know there might be one or it's the end of
oh,
the
yeah,
year.
no,
Things
I did
usually
see
slow
that. I
down.
did watch that.
Things usually slow down at the end of the year because holidays, Christmas, whatever.
Oh.
But I think after Tuesday it's going to be a little bit light going into until January. I'm sorry. I know Saturday we got Frank Martin Saturday versus Michelle Rivera. That's going to be a good fight
That's
And
on Showtime.
when is Tim Zoo fighting again?
Not till January the
that's
28th.
it. That's actually the fight, Mike. You just brought up right now. Though I've been following Michelle Rivera. If anybody's ever seen him, he looks like a very young Muhammad Ali. If anybody's ever seen him, or even Tito Trinidad, very talented young fighter.
No, he's good. He's good.
And this is a big
Okay.
step up for Frank Martin too. You know what I'm saying?
And Frank Martin is the guy that's with
top rank.
is it Top Rank? I thought Frank Martin was with
Or is it,
PBC.
Maybe it's PBC. I'm sorry.
Yeah, PBC because they're fighting on Showtime, and that's the guy that's trained by Derek James as well. Derek
Yes.
James is trained. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, this Michelle Rivera kid is. We'll see,
Yeah.
man. This could be this coming out party for this kid. I mean, that's a great fight to end the year because there's really not much going on after that. We've got a couple of international fights. We got
Yeah.
something. We got some local fights here.
Hey, so
Yeah.
I got a question for you guys. which fighter do you want to see lose next year? Just get devastated.
It's easy. Bud Crawford.
Bud Crawford, but I want to see him fight somebody though.
Yeah.
Even more than lose. I want to see him fight. I want to see him fight legitimate top 10 welterweight. He's still yet to do that.
Yeah.
I don't even put Shakur Stevens in there, because to me, Shakur Stevens has had a tougher resume. I mean, here's a guy that's done what he's had to do. I know there's some talk out there about some other possible fights coming out and stuff like this, but let's be honest, out of that young batch, I'm gonna still fall back on one guy that I know maybe doesn't get the big fights that I think he's gonna get later on, but I still think he's the best of the bunch. And I think a lot of people are gonna be surprised, especially if it doesn't happen. That's gonna be Ryan Garcia if he fights Tank Davis. I think he's gonna make an example of Davis. I think it's gonna be Ryan Garcia's real coming out party where he's gonna show that, hey, I'm a big, strong guy. I mean, he's lightning fast. I mean, you think Devin Haney's got nothing compared to Ryan Garcia.
No,
You know
Ryan Garcia is very fast.
Yeah,
He's got mistakes. I mean, there's a lot of things, that he's got to fix. And unfortunately, he's with Joe Goosen. He pays more attention to his hair than he does to his fighters. But, that is the way it is and stuff.
Yeah.
But if Ryan Garcia can get past some of those sophomore jitters and not keep making the same mistakes, he takes out a smaller guy in a Tank Davis, because Ryan Garcia understands at the end of the day, he's a big guy. And I know there's been a lot of talk from the Davis camp basically saying Ryan Garcia is on steroids. He's on this. No, dude, it's a young guy who's getting into his man strength.
They're afraid, they're afraid of him.
Of course they are.
And I don't want to say Tank Davis. I'm not saying he's physically afraid of any man, but as a team, as a camp, they're afraid of the repercussions of taking that fight. They're afraid that if they fight Ryan Garcia knocks him out, that they will never be able to live that down.
Go back and watch Rolly Romero versus Tank Davis. Rolly almost had Tank out of the fight, bro. Tank was hurt. And you're not going to tell me Romero is the puncher that Ryan Garcia is. He's not that one punch knockout guy.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Not at
Go
all.
back and look what Ryan Garcia's done, bro. I mean, you got one common opponent right there in
Is it Fortuna? No.
Fortuna. Not Fortuna, the Hispanic kid. Oh my God. The one that Garcia knocked out in one round.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about though. But that guy went 7 rounds with Tank. It was actually beating Tank, and Tank had to do an illegal thing in order to get out of it. Tank should have been disqualified. And Ryan starched this guy in 1 round, 1 punch, so
yeah.
Kind of tells you what it is.
Fonseca.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of guys that I'd love just to see the hands risen of their opponents, be it through knockout or whatever. But Haney, I just want Haney to lose. I don't like the way the guy fights. I don't. I really don't.
It's boring to me, honestly.
And the last one, the one that I just want somebody to shut this SOB up is that Ali wannabe his grandson or step grandson
Nico
or
Walsh.
whatever. Dude, I want that punk ass knocked out.
Well, you don't got to worry about it because
I know he ain't going nowhere in this career. But
competition's going to catch up to him, bro.
I just think it's
he can only
funny.
fight soft touches for so long, man.
It's just I want to be watching the fight when the guy
I think we're all just tired of hearing about it. I think the joke, the running joke is that, hey, did you know that he's Muhammad Ali's grandson? It's like, everybody knows. People don't even watch boxing know.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is also year 2. If we look back over that, and we're going to do our end of the year show like we always do. When we look back, there's a lot of fighters that maybe they still have that undefeated stigma, but a lot of the gloss and a lot of the shine has been taken off. And then one of them is obviously Edgar Berlanga. We see how suspect he truly is. Another one who just recently was Janibek. Janibek looked very, very suspect against unknown soft touch from the UK. Here's a guy that's been calling out guys like Jaime Munguia and everybody else within the division. Supposedly he chased Bubu Andrade to 168, and he goes out there and he struggles with the guy. And actually, it was a close fight, So, I mean, say what they want to say, but at the end of the day, I say they give Janibek exactly what he wants. If he wants Munguia, if I'm Bubu Andrade, I'm kicking myself in the ass and going, dude, how did I not take this fight? This guy is complete, exactly what it is. He was Bubu. Xander Zayas is another one. I understand he's at a young stage in his career, but I think he's a guy that has to understand his growing There's going to be growing pains, and don't feed into that. Daniel Zai's biggest mistake is going to be if he buys into that super mentality that's being spoon fed to all the top ranked young fighters. Don't do that. Stay in the gym.
Because he's standing flat footed and trading, and he's getting hit
against non-punchers. So
yeah, he's going to get to a point, hit, man.
Yep. And I will agree with that. That's Andre Ward commented on that. He said, hey, you know, now on another note, before we get out of here real quick, I wanted to say a couple things. Rest in peace to Mills Lane. I heard he recently passed away. Love him, hate him, whatever. And stuff like this. Let's
get it on.
Guy was in boxing for years. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was a Hall of Fame, the Boxing Hall of Fame. They recently inducted their new nominees. And I'm not 100% up on it because I approach the Boxing Hall of Fame like I approach the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. To me, they're both fucking they're awards that you don't need to really solidify who you are. There's so many people within the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that don't grace those halls. And there's tons of people within the Boxing Hall of Fame that will never even get recognized. They'll continue to be shadows in the back room. The fact that they gave an award to Timothy Bradley, who I feel is a B-side fighter his entire life, a guy whose two biggest accomplishments were both highway robberies against Ruslan Prokhorov and Manny Pacquiao. His claim to fight was his victory over Junior Witter against a soft touch in the UK in Junior Witter. Yeah.
Junior Witter. Yeah.
This is a guy who consistently showed that he was very limited in all aspects of his skills. But yet they grace him before they grace so many other fighters. Shame on you, Boxing Hall of Fame, because I know that
I'm looking at his resume right now, his record right now. It's atrocious.
It's atrocious.
Okay. When he beat the undefeated, him and Devin Alexander, I remember that fight. They were both undefeated. He won that fight. Was a technical decision after 10 because it was a headbutt stopped the fight, right?
Correct.
Devin Alexander got hit with a bad headbutt. The fight was stopped. They go to the cards. He wins the fight. Okay. Once again, we all know he was a dirty fighter, Timothy Bradley. Yeah. Then he goes on to fight Joel Casamayor, right? Who was about 10 years past his prime, stops him in 8th round. Then he goes on to win the split decision against Manny Pacquiao. We all know that Bob Arum was behind that. That was his way of saying bye-bye Manny Pacquiao. Oh. Then he comes back and fights Ruslan Prokhorov. Gets his butt beat and still wins the decision. Oh. Beats Marquez, loses to Pacquiao, does a draw with Diego Chavez. He beats Jesse Vargas. He beats Brandon Rios, and then he loses again to Manny Pacquiao. This guy's got two.
He didn't beat Diego Chavez. Anybody saw that fight still knows Diego Chavez won that fight.
Yeah, it was a draw. It was a draw. It was a draw. But yeah, we all know Diego Chavez won. You're right. This has got to be the weakest resume for a Hall of Fame inductee in the last 50 years.
And I'm going to say right now, bro, the only reason why Tim got in is because he has a voice. If Tim was not an analyst, with ESPN and had that top ranked push, he would have never saw it. I mean, let's be honest. I have issues with Andre Ward based on his resume, but his resume looks like Canelo's compared to Tim Bradley. Tim Bradley was a complete joke. I'm going to continue to say it. I think the guy's a big mouth. I think when he says things like, I'm basically giving them my seal of approval. Well, your seal of approval don't mean shit, bro. You're a mediocre fighter out of Palm Springs, California. I can't name but one person I ever knew that was a boxer out of Palm Springs. The only thing I know out of Palm Springs is back in the day when I used to drink there and then it turned to gay town. That's all I knew about it. Shit like this. There ain't no fighters come out of the high desert, brother.
None, dude. None.
So it is what it is, So shame on you, Boxing Hall of Fame, man. You just fell into the realm with the Rock and Roll Fame, the one that letting guys like people like Madonna and all these other, obscure artists and stuff before they let in true patriarchs like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, and all these other ones. Come on, But then again, you're talking about people who are making these decisions and they have no real history of boxing other than people telling them they do.
They're just writers, bro. They're just writers. They're writers. And Bob Arum, just like Bob Arum pays for his rankings to the WBO, he paid for this. So I can say I've got 2 Hall of Fame guys on my broadcast team, coupled with Joe Tessitore, and both fighters. The coincidence between Andre Ward and Timothy Bradley is both of their biggest wins were actually losses, but they were awarded wins. Manny Pacquiao
is Oscar De La Hoya in the boxing Hall of Fame?
Yeah, he was inducted back in 2014.
Okay, good. I was gonna say because if he's not in there, that's fucking ridiculous.
But there's still a lot of fighters that aren't in there. I don't believe Joe Calzaghe's in there. I don't believe who was the one undefeated guy, Darius Mikacheski. retired undefeated. I don't believe he's in there. There's a lot of great fighters that aren't in there. There's a lot of journeyman fighters that have better resumes than Timothy Bradley.
Well, guys like Iran Barkley, look at his fucking resume and what he did in boxing for all those years and stuff. That guy's not gracing those, you know.
He knocked out Tommy Hearns. That
did.
one win alone right there is bigger than anything.
Oh, there's another fighter that just recently passed away. Who I used to really love watching him fight, the late Buster Drayton. Buster Drayton just recently passed away.
Oh, I didn't know that. I remember the name.
Buster Drayton, dude, that former 154-pound champion, Buster Drayton, dude. Hard as iron, man. An Iran Barkley kind of guy. A guy who started his career off kind of like a club fighter and went on to win a world title. Guy who gave his heart and soul. Another Matthew Saad Muhammad, bro. For some of you people out there don't know too much about boxing, go back and look at the old days. You want to see a real fight? Go back and watch Dwight Muhammad Qawi versus Matthew Saad Muhammad. It'll bring tears to your eyes.
Yeah, you're right. Joe Kazaki's not in the Hall of Fame. Joe Kazaki was undisputed. WBC, he won the WBA.
How about Kelly Pavlik? Kelly Pavlik had a better resume than freaking Timothy Bradley.
And he had legitimate wins over champions.
Yeah.
His title wins over, was it Bernard Hopkins? No. Jermaine Taylor. Those were legitimate wins.
If you're going to take a guy who fits that mediocre mode, that middle fighter, that middle grade fighter that had some success, why not take a guy like Dangerous Don Lee from back in the 80s, you know, a middleweight who actually went on to win a world title and fought against guys? What about a guy like John the Beast Mugabe, some of these other ones? There's so many fighters that just completely overlooked because we're so focused. I mean, let me tell you right now, the sad thing is this, okay? Deontay Wilder will not get in the Boxing Hall of Fame before guys like Devin Haney or Tank Davis. That's the state of boxing right now. That's how it is. Yeah. And not to say that Deontay Wilder deserves to be there, but he's more deserving because he's taken more risk. To me, the Boxing Hall of Fame signified more than just your accomplishment. It signified your character and your willingness to want to make those great fights, you know, the Leonard, the Duran, the Hagler, the Hearns, those kind of things. And these guys just don't want to do it anymore. I will take my hat off to Tank Davis. Tank does take those chances, but I think Tank's gone about as far as he can go based on his stature, and he understands that.
Yeah,
you know. But there's so many fighters that out there. I'm looking so forward to this Tim Tszyu versus Jermell Charlo, because Tim Tszyu he's created from a different fabric to some of these guys. Maybe it's because he's from Australia. I don't know. But Tim Tszyu has a lot of his dad in there. One thing Kostya Tszyu did is he never backed away from a challenge. Didn't matter how much money they put on the other side. Didn't matter where they put the fight. They fight in somebody else's backyard. Didn't care. He would still do it.
Yeah, he always had to come here. He never had a fight at home.
No, he had a shitty fucking manager. Fucking that Vlad guy put him everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what cost him his fight against Ricky Hatton, you know? But the bottom line is I'm looking forward to this fight. I don't think it's a give me for fucking Charlo. I think it's a 50-50 fight. We'll see what's going to happen. And if Tim Tszyu does, what happens if Tim Tszyu wins the undisputed 154-pound championship? That just turned that entire division upside down.
Yep.
Yeah, very true.
You know?
Very true.
I think he's got a legitimate shot.
Yeah, he does. All right, Phyllis, let's go ahead. Eric, you got anything to say in closing?
Yeah, you know what? The only, this was, sorry, I had to dip in and out a couple.
Oh, it's all right.
Absolutely fantastic. Love seeing my brothers. Love talking this stuff with you guys. It's just amazing. It's amazing. Michael, thank you for taking Mom to Italy. She's been raving about it ever since. And I think I have seen about 500 pictures or so already. I'm sure I'm going to see more, but you know what? It was amazing being able to see you and the girls too, and everything. It was awesome. AJ, love you, brother. Love you. you're amazing. And yeah,
is that a cowboy hat, or is that? Or you look like an Orthodox Jew right now?
Right, dude. Stay away from my schnitzel.
All right. Well, hey, yeah, I just wanted to say, you know, it's great to see you guys, and I love you and I miss you.
Well, we're gonna
stay healthy, man. Stay healthy.
We're gonna be so regular, it's gonna make you wonder if you took fiber in the beginning of the week, dude. Because we will be regular. We will be back next Sunday with a big update on all this week's past actions.
That's right.
It's great to see my brothers again, man. I love you guys. And so it's not like we don't talk all the time, but it's nothing when you see each other, you know. So
yeah, all
I can tell you is this: whether it's California, Oregon, or El Paso, the next time the three brothers get together, things are gonna get shooken up. Take us out, Mighty Mike.
All right, man. For everybody here at Into the Ring Live, Mighty Mike,
AJ Rage,
and Eric the Red.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good week, guys.
Take care, guys.
Bye.